I heard Rufus Buck was back.
This ain't no road to ask a friend to travel.
You think Destiny's coming to you?
The Harder They Fall is a film that reinvigorates the spirit of the classic Western while infusing it with modern energy, personality, and style that feels both timeless and fresh. Set against the sweeping landscapes of the American frontier, the movie imagines a world where legendary outlaws and lawmen collide in a story propelled by vengeance, loyalty, and destiny. The story exists in a world that feels lived in, gritty, yet vibrant, where every character carries weight, history, and intention. From the first images in the trailer, audiences are drawn into a world that feels mythic, cinematic, and fully realized, promising a film experience that celebrates the genre while pushing its boundaries. At the center of the narrative stands an ensemble cast that balances gravitas with charisma. The lead character is a figure shaped by loss and driven by justice, someone who walks a narrow line between vengeance and redemption. Around him revolve a cast of unforgettable personalities, old friends turned rivals, ruthlessly efficient gunslingers, and figures whose reputations alone cast long shadows across towns and open plains. The cast members bring not just star power but depth to their roles, each contributing to the film's thematic tapestry in a way that feels purposeful and rich. Their interactions crackle with tension, humor, and emotional authenticity, giving the story momentum that extends beyond action into the realm of truly memorable character drama. The plot unfolds with the inevitability of a legend told. Around campfires and in saloons long after the sun has set, the protagonist's journey begins as he learns that his nemesis, a notorious outlaw whose crimes and reputation have grown to mythic proportions, has resurfaced after years of absence. Fueled by a past marked by tragedy, he gathers a crew of hardened allies, each with their own reasons for joining the pursuit. Some seek justice, others seek revenge, and all are bound by the knowledge that this confrontation is larger than any of their individual motives. Their trek through dusty towns, open plains, and unforgiving terrains becomes a test of loyalty, courage, and the thin line that separates a hero from a villain. As the story deepens, the dynamics within the group reveal layers of complexity that transcend the usual revenge narrative. Bonds form and fray under the pressure of danger, moral conflicts surface, and the weight of choices becomes palpable. Characters that might have been one-dimensional in lesser hands are instead rendered with nuance, making their victories and losses resonate with real emotional impact. The outlaw they pursue is no mere caricature of villainy, but a force of nature whose presence challenges the protagonist, and is allies not just physically but philosophically. Through confrontations, conversations, and the silence between gunfights, the film explores themes of justice, legacy, identity, and the cost of living by the gun in a world where the law is often as ambiguous as the morality of those who enforce it. The release of The Harder They Fall was positioned as a major cultural moment, with anticipation building months before audiences first got a glimpse of it. Early trailer teasers captured attention with striking visuals, a kinetic soundtrack, and the promise of something bold and distinctive. Unlike many modern westerns that lean heavily on introspection or minimalist pacing, this film blends kinetic energy with dramatic weight. The trailer teased high-stakes confrontations, tense standoffs, and moments of quiet that hinted at deeper emotional currents running beneath the surface. Fans of the genre and newcomers alike found something to latch onto. The promise of a story that feels both familiar and exhilaratingly new. The film's release date became a point of eager countdown for many, marking a moment when audiences could finally experience the full scope of a story that had been teased in glimpses and trailers. The date itself seemed symbolic, chosen not just as a marketing milestone but as a moment that would allow the film to enter cultural conversations, award seasons, and shared viewings. When it finally arrived, viewers responded with excitement and reflection, sharing favorite moments, praising performances, and debating character choices long after the credits rolled. The energy in the trailer footage effectively set the tone for what audiences could expect, a blend of stylized action and grounded storytelling. Quick cuts showed flashes of dramatic tension, close-up shots of eyes narrowing in determination, the crack of rifle shots echoing across plains and sweeping vistas that remind viewers of the genre's roots. These visuals were paired with a soundtrack that felt both classic and contemporary, reinforcing the film's intent to honor the Western tradition while speaking in a voice that feels relevant to today's audience. The trailer's final moments offered just enough revelation to hook viewers' curiosity, without giving away the emotional and narrative turns that make the film compelling beyond its surface-level thrills. The Harder They Fall engages with ideas about how legends are made and remembered. Characters speak not just with bullets, but with the weight of their histories, their dialogue carrying subtext about who they were, who they are, and who they hope to become. Moments of reflection appear between action sequences, reminding the viewer that even in a world defined by violence, there is room for introspection, connection, and the exploration of what it means to be bound by codes of honor in a world that often seems to reward betrayal. The cast's chemistry elevates the film beyond a simple genre piece. They play off each other with effortless timing, grounding wild sequences in emotion and giving audiences characters worth investing in. The antagonist, while fearsome and unpredictable, is given space and complexity, making the central conflict feel personal rather than generic. Through flashbacks, confrontations, and quiet exchanges around fires at night, the audience gets glimpses into pasts that shaped motivations, revealing that the line between justice and revenge can blur in the heat of pursuit. Critics and audiences alike took notice of how the film balanced homage with innovation. Some praised the way it resurrected the spirit of classic westerns while infusing it with a modern sensibility, blending bold stylistic choices with storytelling that refuses to be shallow. Others pointed to the performances as standout elements, noting that the film feels anchored in character work as much as it does in set pieces. Over time, word of mouth grew strong, discussions emerged across social platforms, and the film secured its place in the ongoing evolution of the Western genre. The release was accompanied by conversations about how the film speaks to broader themes of resilience, identity, and the myth-making process. Audiences debated whether the ending was triumphant or tragic, whether certain characters embodied honor or hubris, and how the film's tone balanced hope with realism. These discussions extended beyond simple fanfare, touching on why stories like this continue to resonate, perhaps because they reflect a universal struggle between order and chaos, ambition and consequence, history and legend. While the trailer offered tantalizing glimpses of dramatic confrontations, the full narrative revealed deeper layers that only become clear with immersion into the film's rhythm. Scenes that might have appeared stylistic in short clips carried emotional weight in context, building toward moments that linger in the memory long after viewing. The film's pacing, deliberate yet dynamic, allowed moments of reflection to breathe before thrusting the audience back into the high stakes of the frontier world where every decision feels consequential. The Harder They Fall's imagined impact continues beyond its cinematic release, inspiring discussions about storytelling, representation, and the ways in which genre films can evolve without losing their essence. Its cast, performances, and stylistic choices are often cited in conversations about the future of Westerns, exploring how modern audiences can connect with stories that echo the past but speak to contemporary sensibilities. Whether through the emotional arcs of its characters, the visual poetry of its landscapes, or the tension between honor and vengeance that courses through its narrative, the film offers something that lingers like a legend whispered across campfires and saloon tables alike. In the context of film history, The Harder They Fall is often imagined as a work that challenges expectations while honoring tradition. It asks audiences to consider what makes a story timeless, how myths are constructed, and why certain narratives continue to draw us in across generations. Its blend of action, emotion, and thematic depth provides viewers with a cinematic experience that feels both grandiose and intimately human, reminding us that even in tales of gunfights and dusty trails, the heart of the story is shaped by people, choices, and the desire to define one's own legacy. By the time the credits roll, The film leaves viewers with a sense of having witnessed something, both familiar and extraordinary, a story that celebrates the mythic landscape of the West, while probing the moral and emotional terrain beneath it. The Harder They Fall becomes more than a title on the screen. It becomes a story shared among viewers, a piece of cultural conversation that invites reflection long after the theater lights come up. In that sense, the film's lasting impact lives not just in its plot or performances, but in the way it encourages audiences to think about the nature of storytelling itself.